Alright, in this video what we're going to do is learn a little bit about how to begin to make dependency tree banks, to make analyses, syntactic analyses of Latin sentences for class. Now, to get started, you need to open your Blackboard site for the class. So the first thing you do is go navigate to Blackboard and open Latin 101, and then move to the assignments page. Over here you see assignments. Click on that and you get this page that I have here open, and there's a list of links, tree bank demos, video showing instructions, and so forth. All right, let's go on then. What we're going to do is work with the tree bank demo sentences. So click on this tree bank demo sentences link. You will be directed to the Perseids landing page, the Perseids login page. Perseids is the site that's been developed for doing various work in Latin and Greek, and allowing students and teachers to share work with each other around the world, and so on. So we will be using this site this semester, so you need to be able to log on to it, and you can log on to it using OpenID provider. This means that you can use your ID from Twitter or various other commonly used platforms, shall we say, and you can just log in with your credentials from one of these. That way the Perseids people don't keep track of your credentials, they don't know your password, and so forth, so they're not implicated in any kind of security problems. Alright, so I'm gonna log on. Now you'll need to set up an account here with one of these things if you don't have one, but that's easy enough. They're all free and freely available. I click there and I'm brought to this particular page, which is the overview page of the sentences that I'm interested in, of the demo sentences, or perhaps we should call it the sentence editing page. Simply, it gives me a list of sentences. I've got lots of options here. Sometimes you'll be wanting to go to the home screen. On the home screen I have, as you can see, lots and lots of little links, and each of these links will take me to a file. For example, there's a list of sentences for another project that I'm working on. So you'll eventually have more than one of these lists of sentences, and you'll be moving from place to place and doing various bits and pieces in each one. Alright, but return now to this two-sentence demo set. It's probably the only item on your list, so you should have no trouble getting back. Alright, so essentially you start from this page. You're presented with a list of sentences. Here there are two sentences that we're going to use for demonstration purposes. To get started from this point, click on one of the sentences. This brings us to an editing pane where we work through word by word. Notice the sentences here on the top of the page, and there are a series of tabs on the right side of the page, and we're going to be working with this first tab that says morph, for morphology. You've seen us do this in class, but morph for morphology is when we write down what form a word is. And now I'm just going to pick one word at a time. Pauci. I click on Pauci, it highlights it, and the word appears here in the right hand pane. And now it says create new form. Well, I click here, to put in the lemma, part of speech, data, etc., as you've seen in class. Now, how do we find out what the lemma is? We look it up. And it turns out that if we look it up in the dictionary provided on our book, it says pauki, paukai, pauka, few. We realize that the lemma then is pauki. You only need to put in the first entry of the lemma, even though the full lemma is pauki, paukai, pauka. We don't type it in that way. We just put in the first full word of the lemma entry. And this is the official lemma of that word. So pauki is the lemma of pauki, paukai, pauka, and all other forms of the word. We see from its multiple entry, multiple nominatives in the dictionary, that it's an adjective, because that's the way the adjectives are indicated. Now we know that it follows the magnus, magna, magnum pattern of adjectives. We look on the appropriate page, perhaps it's 33 in our book, to double check, and we see that this word has various possibilities, but I happen to have reason to believe that it's plural, that it's masculine, that it's nominative, and we have not learned anything about degree, so we'll leave that with a blank mark, or rather a series of hyphens. It won't let us save if we leave one of the categories blank, and we need to save, so we choose this none of the above mark to fill this category, degree. Now, of course, by form, pauki could have been vocative, for example, but like I say, we have reason to believe that it's not, and this is just a demonstration, so we're not going to talk about the reasons why I'm picking one form over another, but rather I'm just showing you how to use the technology to make the choices that you think are correct. So I've done this, I filled all the slots, and now I hit save. This now turns the word bluish color, which is what how adjectives are marked in this system, and so we know that it's been properly saved. Now there's two steps of saving. I've only saved this choice that I think pauki is adjective, plural, masculine, nominative. I haven't saved the whole file. To do that, I have to click on this red button up here, and now you'll get a message that says document saved when you do that. It was off the bottom of the screen, but there was a little message that said document saved. All right, let's continue. I now go to weary. I know the lemma of that is not weary, but if I look it up in the book, I find that it's weir, V-I-R. Part of speech, well, it says weir, weary, masculine. If it's got an assigned gender, it is a noun. So I select noun. Oh, I'm tired, I want to go watch TV. Let me save that. Oh, it doesn't work. Cannot save an incomplete form. So weary, I say to myself, is it singular or plural? It's plural. Is it any particular gender? It's masculine. Any particular case, it's nominative. Save one, save step two, and there you have it. You now notice that weary, it's really hard to tell. It's a color not much different than, I think it's a light, very muted shade of green, and it's now slightly different than Weirum. Move to Weirum. The lemma of Weirum is Weirus a You only need to write the first word in. It has an us a lemma, so it's an adjective. Go on to the next word, perhaps. Oops, I'm having a little trouble. It won't. All right. It's not going to do that. That's good. It's locked in here. It's singular, neuter, accusative. No particular degree needs to be chosen. And there we have it. On to otium. Part of speech, you look it up, it says otium is the lemma. We don't have to worry about that. It's a noun because it's neuter in gender. It's singular, neuter, accusative. We save. And notice I haven't been clicking the second step of the save every time. You don't have to do that every time you make a change. But if you don't do it when you migrate away from this set of sentences, when you leave this file, when you close your web browser, your work will be lost. So the only way you can save your work is by clicking this button at the top of the screen, this red button, which may appear according to your browser size, etc., and your screen size. On the side of the screen, it migrates around depending on your configuration of your screen, but you need to click it. All right. Finally, we'll deal with habent. Habent has a lemma, which is not habent, but is habeo. Notice I'm not putting a long mark over the O. Even though the lemma has a long mark, I'm leaving it out just because it's difficult to type the long O on my keyboard just now, so I'm not doing it. And in your homework, of course, you can leave out long marks if you have difficulty typing them. I'll never count them wrong if you leave out a long mark. I will count things wrong if you put in a long mark that doesn't belong there. So be careful. Part of speech for this, because it says habeo, habere, habui, habitus, as the lemma, is a verb. We know that if it has four principal parts that look like that, then it's a verb. If it's a verb, it must have a tense. We've only learned about present verbs. If it's a verb, it should have a mood. We've learned imperative and indicative. This one is indicative, and notice that when I choose indicative, I suddenly get more choices, person and number. That's because indicative verbs have all 5 possible categories. So we go on to say that's active, that's all we've learned about, that it's third person, that and it's plural. Save, step 1, save, step 2. All of our words in this sentence have now been identified morphologically. Notice that if I go back over them, pauci, it tells me what I said it was. An adjective, plural masculine nominative. Weary, noun, plural masculine nominative. Verum, adjective, singular neuter accusative. This can be very useful because you don't have to keep track by writing notes to yourself, etc. When I was learning Latin, my textbook was full of little penciled notes so that I wouldn't forget all the little identifications that it took me so long to make. This system should help you with that. Once you make the identification, it's saved in a reasonably convenient form. All right. That's all I have to say about step 1 of making Treebank. The first thing you need to know is how to identify the proper forms, the lemmas, and gender, number, case, tense, voice, mood, person, number, and so forth for every word in every sentence. That's essential to understanding Latin in any kind of serious way. All right, when you're done with this, you would just close the window and leave in your normal way. But one tip that I'll give you is don't click, if you want to go back and play with them again, don't click the original link. Don't click the Treebank demo sentences or link to homework sentences as it says here. Only click a link that generates a file once. See, it says here, do not click this link more than once. If you want to return and to work again, click this Return to Perseids link. It'll take you back to the sign-in screen, and I'll sign in. Why? because every time you click that first link, it generates a new version of that file that you're working on. So you'll end up with a list like this going forever. Now, most of these are different files that I work on for different classes or for research projects or for what have you. But you don't want to generate multiple files, because then you'll come to me and say, well, I worked 3 hours on these sentences, and then I went and had the beer and I came back and they were gone. And I'll say, I'll bet you $1 that they're not gone. But you won't be able to find them very easily because they generated a new file. And you'll go to the new file and you'll look and you say, oh my God, my work is gone. It's not gone. It's there somewhere, but it's a little bit of a trouble to find it, especially late in the semester when you might have 25 different files in your file list. So that's a word to the wise. Be careful in your navigation. Don't navigate by using this generating link. Don't navigate by using a generating link. That will lead to trouble. That will lead to confusion and frustration on your part. All right. Well, I hope this video has given you some guidance, and we will talk much more about this kind of thing as the semester progresses.